Hey, Michelle here, and welcome to another edition of Too Much Monday, Not Enough Coffee, question and answer. So today's question, or rather last week's question, comes from Renee in Springfield, Ohio. Dear Michelle, I totally loved your post last week about what to do when you don't know what to do. I feel like in only a week, I've gained an abundance of clarity and insight into my business. Each and every day, I now start my day with a brisk 20-minute walk around my neighborhood. Well done. I consider it my time with my personal board of directors. It's become a time I dedicate solely to myself, just me and my posse. She's got in parentheses here, me, myself, and I. Planning the day and investing in myself, and I'm loving the ritual. I'm working on raising my own stock. I do have one question though. Obviously, in order to have an online presence, I've got to have a website. This is something I've already got in the works. I also know that blogging can be an excellent way to grow my following, and I'm not sure how that all fits together. I always thought of a blog as a standalone component. Assuming that I'm doing both, which one deserves my attention first? Thanks a million, Renee. Well, Renee, thank you very much for writing in. And first of all, congratulations on the start of what I'm sure is going to be a very, very successful ritual for you. Well done. It's so exciting for me to hear. Okay, so this is actually going to be a simpler answer than you're probably expecting, but the truth is that your blog and your website are one and the same online. Now, you can have a blog that is just one page, right, and a standalone component, or the blog can be one page on your website. If you have products to sell, if you feel like there's a history or a story that you want to share, then you're probably going to need some extra pages, an About Me page, a products page, services, whatever, questions and answers. Ideally, you want your blog to be your home page so that when your viewer visits your site, it's the very first thing that they come in contact with. So your blog and your website really need to be thought of as one and the same. And since we're talking about your blog, your website, and since I know that you're in the throes of kind of building that, I also know that there are a lot of other people out there that are starting, and a fair amount of people that are redesigning and rethinking. I wanted to throw out 3 key things that you really need to think about when you're designing and building your website, because these 3 things that I'm going to share with you are the 3 things that your website must do, and truly it's the only 3 things that your website needs to do. So the first is to tell people who you are and what you do. And when somebody comes to your website, you've really only got a few seconds to convey this to them, this message, because you've got, it's like 4.6 seconds or something, like sort of obscenely small amount of time that you have to capture their attention, tell them a little bit about you, who you are, and what it is that you do, what your product or service is, right? Now, most people are going to do this in that header area, the area right at the very top of your website, with a picture, some caption, their name, whatever it is, a quote, just letting people know very briefly, very distinctly, very clearly what it is that you do. The second thing that your website needs to do is it needs to have some sort of a mechanism for collecting names and email addresses, right? So this is usually going to be what most people in the industry refer to as their opt-in. I use Aweber. There are lots of great autoresponders out there, but the truth is the only thing that you need is something that's going to be set up and that will do it for you and will work while you sleep. Now, this can have lots of different forms. You can exchange somebody's email address for a subscription to your newsletter. Whereas every week, every other week, however often you publish that, you send out an email that just reminds them that it's up, hey, here it is, come read it. It can be in exchange for some sort of a free gift. Like for me, I've got the 10 killer tricks to get your stuff in the spotlight, right? It could be an audio file, it could be a PDF, it could be an ebook. Truly, the options are unlimited. But what you need is something that will create and foster that trade, the email address for whatever it is that you're promising them in return. And then the third thing that your website needs to do is it needs to be a storage place for your ideas. So each week as you're publishing something, which then allows you to turn to your list and contact your list to let them know that there's new value-added content on your site, you've got a place to store all that. So think of your website, your blog, as an online storage cabinet or filing cabinet of sorts, right? It gives you a place to house all that content so that people can come back and reference it. So I hope you found this really, really helpful. I hope, Renee, that has cleared up your question. If you liked this post, please like it, please share it. And I'd also love to know what you're using as an autoresponder to help out there with your own automated system. Post that in the comments below. Until then, thanks. I'll see you next week.